So, do you guys want to start off with the trade deadline stuff? You want to talk
Yeah, let's do
about
the trade roundup.
the transactions that were made? I'm going to count yesterday as well. I might as well get
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
started
I
with
think
it
that's
because that's
correct.
included in this. The Giants traded defensive lineman Leonard Williams to Seattle. Um, as far as fantasy goes, it's kind of irrelevant because he was picked up in the starter draft and then dropped. So currently he's on the waiver wire. But he's a 29-year-old defensive lineman who I think will be more of a real life impact player than he will for fantasy, especially considering that the last time that he was actually a Pro Bowler was in 2020. So it's a couple years removed. He's gone through some injuries and stuff, but like as far as actual fantasy goes for our league, I think this is a nothing burger.
He
yeah,
figures to be
non-starter.
a rotational piece on your guys' line, right? On the
Yeah,
Seahawks D
he's
line. So,
right.
It's tough picking D linemen that are on rotation lineups and they're not always in. So like people like
yep.
Fletcher Cox who are always in are worth picking up. Meanwhile, everybody else on that line is pretty much disposable because they're only going to see a quarter or half the snaps.
Right.
Yeah, I think
It's about
he's
volume at that point, especially
Even
for DL.
even if you have like someone like Jaron Reed, dropping him now would be, I don't know if it's advisable.
well.
I don't want to be responsible for you losing
That's a
points,
good point.
but someone like him is going to lose half his
Jaron Reed
snaps.
has been on like a weird historic streaky streak,
Well, that's out
but
of necessity. The Seahawks have had an awful situation with their defensive line for years. So,
as the current
Right,
owner
but
of a
now we're
Jaron
getting
Reed,
but now we're getting backup for him.
exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah,
now he's
exactly.
only
And that's
getting
what
That's
now.
Leo
fair. That's
is.
fair.
I think. I think he's gonna eat into Mario Edwards' snaps more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Edwards is also a nothing burger. I think Jaden Reed's actually rostered if I.
Yeah, Steve has him.
Yeah,
He's
Steve
just
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Jaron Reed, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely a cut
I
candidate
think
for
he's
me
droppable at this
or
point.
a
I think
trade.
Trevor's
I mean,
right.
yeah, especially because you're right. Like
But
the more they're adding to that D line rotation, the more that he's going to see a decrease in snaps.
it's kind of
He
a
filled in great
situation
for me
where,
against Arizona, though, put
maybe
in
not
9
this
points.
week, but like within the next couple of weeks, he's not going
right,
to be producing
Well,
wait
as
and
much as he's
see.
producing right now.
Against Baltimore too, like that might be a weird game to try and evaluate
Yeah,
for
I mean Lamar's
next
playing like the
week.
best quarterback in the league right now. So like,
Yeah,
who
that
knows?
really is. And they've got a good offense there too, just generally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. Is like a lot of the
What do you,
IDP value comes from snaps, and if your guy's snaps are going down, he's quickly falling
just
out
just because
of
Yeah.
use.
Lamar had a 140-point game doesn't mean he's been the best QB this year. I stand by the fact that his line sucks. Like
Yeah,
Jaron
that's
Reed
true.
is going to eat that line alive this weekend.
Hopefully, him and Leonard Williams.
And Boye Mafe
Yeah.
is going to get like 4 sacks. Like
Yeah, I
Alright.
hope so.
All right.
Yeah.
I would really like that.
So, I think it goes without saying, like, this doesn't really affect anybody. It affects Steve, but it's like if you wanted to pick up Leonard Williams as a bye week filler or something, I think that's a viable option because he is a really good player. He might get
Yeah.
a sack. You know, that's what you're plugging him in and hoping that he gets a sack because he's not going to get that many tackles because he's spelling the defensive linemen that are already on the team. So,
anyways,
Realistically, it affects my bye week filler pickup.
yeah.
So
The
oops.
next one, and this was probably the biggest trade of the season, was the 49ers picked up Chase Young from the Commanders.
I
Mhm.
don't know if that's the biggest trade. It's a decent sized trade, but I have one in mind that I think is way bigger.
Yeah, I think the Montez Sweat one is also pretty significant.
I think Josh Dobbs going to Minnesota is insane. I don't. I think that is actually
Isn't
going
that a
to
weird
work
thing?
out. I think it's going to work out like really well for Minnesota
I think
because
so
Josh
They
too.
traded
Dobbs has been
nothing.
playing
He's
really
been playing
good,
pretty well. Yeah.
and they got nothing out of the deal, which makes no sense at all. Like, how are you going to trade away a player that's pretty much been keeping you in the season away? Like, obviously you want to tank, but like he's proven that he's a
Right.
fucking good quarterback.
There's
They
a
have the
weird.
first
I mean, he
overall
showed
pick.
out
Like,
well
they're
enough.
not. Their season is done.
He can throw. He got ground threat. I don't see why you would just give him away like that.
So
The market for a backup quarterback is pretty limited. I don't know like how much more they could have gotten really, like realistically.
Are you really calling him a backup quarterback after he's almost had as good of a season as Lamar Jackson?
he's a top 15 quarterback. I mean, he's been playing remarkably well for that team.
He's having the season Geno had last year.
Yeah. So the thing that's really weird about that situation, though, is
fantasy-wise at least.
Well, the thing that's weird about this situation is that the coaching staff said that this was before the trade went through today. They were looking at the tape and saw something they didn't like, and then intended to bench him this week for Tune, which is weird because like he's been playing well. The kid that they drafted this year.
Yeah, Clayton Tune is Arizona. They were going to go with him anyway.
So they have a rookie quarterback that they're throwing out there as kind of a stopgap.
And they're not even for Minnesota's not even going to play Dobbs this week. They're letting him learn the offense for a whole nother week.
Well, that makes sense.
Hall.
It's not like a running back trade where you just put the guy behind the line and have him run through a hole or whatever.
Exactly.
Well, there's a lot more to learning a running back position than that, but sure.
Well, I mean, but it's not quite the same as coming in as a quarterback.
It depends on if you're going to the same system or a different system.
That's true.
I mean, it's not like they're going to have Alexander Madison fucking taking the play calls in there.
Right. I don't know how similar the two offensive schemes are, though. Like, I don't know the offensive coordinators.
They're pretty wild. They're pretty
different. Yeah,
and so
Gannon's running like some.
Will Josh Dobbs be able to step up to the plate and do the work he needs to do in the next 2 weeks? Who fucking knows?
That's the
question. He's shown he's got the athleticism.
The talent.
Well, and the thing is that if Jaren Hall shows out, then Dobbs maybe winds up staying the backup too. Like that whole thing is potentially like
QB controversy.
Yeah, I mean if Hall shows out and like really puts up good numbers and like plays a game that's designed for him, like that could cause a pretty major controversy.
You really think Jaren Hall, after almost 20% of the snaps with a 4 for 3, 23 yards and negative on his I just don't see him.
I know. He was.
I don't see him doing anything at all. Like, yeah, he's 6 foot, he's 207 pounds, but like
he was thrust into a game in a bad situation after taking no.
But that's when you're supposed to shine, right? That's why Brady became the fucking GOAT. Like those kinds of positions is when you have to like put out the fact that you're an elite quarterback.
He's a rookie.
There were always questions though about Jaren Hall, and it wasn't just like.
Is he a rookie? I thought he has been in the league for a couple of years.
Jaren Hall drafted this year.
Yeah, he's a fifth rounder.
He's older, so I thought.
No, that's why
he's 25.
He's a rookie though. It's his first year.
He's an older
in the
rookie.
NFL.
So was he like a super senior or something? What the fuck?
The COVID
milked
season
his college availability.
This is the last year of like any of those old guys coming in because of the COVID year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the big defensive trades though was Chase Young. That affects Matt. He's going to the 49ers.
He will put up numbers.
He will probably be the same player that he was in that scheme. So
well, he's gonna take this position opposite of Bosa, right? Who's there now?
He'll be an upgrade.
He's filling in for injury, so I imagine he's gonna be plug and play in that system.
Okay, that's gonna be fine. Yeah, there's no big deal.
Yeah,
I mean the Shanahan pass rush schema is like not that difficult.
Yeah,
it's basically get after him or set the edge depending on the play.
The other trade the Commanders made was they traded Montez Sweat to the Bears, and Joe has him.
Which is
that
weird.
One's kind of rough because the Bears are terrible, and they do desperately need the help.
Can we put the Boca like hit in there? Do you know what I'm talking about, Targus? No. I'll clip it for you.
Shit.
Yeah, it's weird Packers shit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, this is why he doesn't know, because it's some weird Packers.
I have no fucking clue, bro.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is either. I just know it's some weird Packer shit because it's
Wait,
Steve.
Kevin Byard got traded to the Eagles? I
Yeah,
didn't
that
even
was
know
on my
that.
list. Kevin Byard did get traded, I think last week. So that was a pre-deadline move that was made. Again, it's hard to say. The Eagles secondary has been weird this year. It wasn't nearly as good as it was last year. Wasn't as
Injuries.
scary. Injuries have been rough. Kevin Byard is a veteran. So
Very good.
yeah, it's another one of those things where it's like he'll probably be the same that he was fantasy wise immediately on the Eagles. But
I mean,
who
I have
knows?
him. I have him and I have Darius Slay, so it's kind of hard to pick between the two.
Yeah, that'll
Darius
be an interesting
Slay
start sit.
has a much lower
I'll be
ceiling
right
and a much higher ceiling. Like he's a lot more like he's either 5 points or he's 20 points sort of guy.
Right.
But with Kevin, it's been just like 10 points almost every game.
Yeah.
9 points.
DPJ got traded. So Jordan has DPJ, so that's going to be interesting because he's getting put into an already super crowded wide receiver room in Detroit.
Yeah,
So that's kind
that's
of
just gonna.
sucks for him.
That's,
Not
yeah,
great.
yeah, that's just gonna. Well, and yeah, especially because he has Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. So
Yeah.
he's,
I mean,
yeah,
maybe if Amon
it's
Ra
gonna
gets
be a
hurt,
toss-up. Like who you
I mean,
picking?
like, That's the thing is there's no clear number 3 basically behind Amon-Ra and Laporta. But
it's Donovan Peoples-Jones now.
yeah, I think that's it. I
Trying to
think
wait
that's
for my
what
doorbell was broke.
I think it sucks for everybody who's rocking a Khalif Raymond, a Josh Reynolds.
That kind of it fucked me. In another league, I had picked up Khalif Raymond.
like those are the Khalif Raymond may still, as long as you're scoring punt returns, may still have some value because of that. But I think that's who that trade mostly affects is the people who are being displaced by Donovan Peoples-Jones, who comes in and becomes the clear number 3 option in that offense.
yeah. Well, I think that's all the trades. Well, the ones that matter at least. I mean, there were a couple smaller ones, like the Falcons made a trade for a nothing burger lineman. The Packers sold Rasul
the
Douglas.
Packers
They traded them to the
Rasul
Bills.
Douglas
I think that's the
for
only
a
other
pick
one.
swap.
Yep. So
Rasul Douglas still looks to be a starter over there in Buffalo, but
yeah.
also filling in for injury, so more or less plug and play. That dude's also been in like 5 defensive schemes in the past 6
Yeah.
years, so
He'll get it figured out.
yeah, he'll be fine.
Cool. Well, let's get started on the matchups this week. Why don't we? How do we want to do this? We'll just start from the top to bottom.
And we can
Or
do
what?
top to bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always.
I think
last
that
in
makes sense.
scenario.
That leaves Joe and Trevor naturally last,
Yeah.
which I think is good because the stat correction could come in any minute that
Yeah.
causes this thing to go into
We'll get to
extreme
that.
tilt.
We'll get to that.
That's
So
what
yeah,
we call a teaser in the business.
So I played against Ben this week, and I was sure that he had this locked up and would complete the sweep of the Packers fans, take them out of the shadow realm. But I did some spooky shit yesterday, which ended up fucking Trevor apparently,
And
because
Steve.
yeah, I was doing some spooky shit because Devontae Adams was like crying after this game and was just completely out of it. Like he did nothing because Garoppolo just sucked out
Fucked him.
there.
Dude, he got
Sucked it up.
outscored by Hunter Renfro, who has done nothing this season.
Yeah, I dropped his ass. Like
I picked him up just because I thought he was going to get traded. Maybe he had some upside, but it's like, what the fuck's going on with the Raiders?
I don't think the Raiders know what's going on with the Raiders, man. It's like
I think McDaniels is a fucking
wait, so
awful coach.
they didn't trade Hunter by the trade deadline.
no,
They did nothing.
no offensive players really got traded. It was just DPJ, I think, and it was just
Yeah,
like no Derrick Henry, no nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
DPJ and
I
Dobbs
was sure
are the
that
2 offensive.
some running
offensive
back was
moves.
going to shake loose. Like the
Nope.
Ravens have been like talked.
It's
about
really
as somebody trying to
surprising.
buy, like somebody.
Yeah. But also, Aiden Hutchinson miraculously wasn't involved in the sack party on Garoppolo this week, and it
Just
saved
got
my
doubled all
ass.
game.
Yeah.
And then opened up so many holes. That's why everybody else
He's
won.
I had my
you know?
eye on him, and yeah, he was game scripted out of this for sure. He's
He got
not.
doubled all game. It
Yeah.
sucks when that happens, but like
That's the risk you take in having a elite offensive weapon or defensive weapon. It's the same as
Especially
having
on
an
the
elite offensive weapon who gets doubled all game, or
Yeah, like
if
DK.
they're just
double
yeah,
covered.
if they're
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
if they're
exactly.
completely blanketed with DBs the entire game, that you just can't throw at
Especially
them.
for wide receivers. Yeah.
In fact,
few opportunities.
this is similar to what happened to Devontae Adams on the Packers in a couple of games where he was really disappointing. It was because the plan by the defensive coordinator of the opposing team was literally to just completely
Triple
take him out of the
Devontae
game.
Adams.
Just
Yeah.
lock him down.
Do whatever you
Yeah.
can to lock him in a cage and then make Green Bay beat you with their other receivers. And that's what they did
Yeah.
here. Because like I don't think it was really a Hunter Renfrow was bad issue. It was Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have any time in the pocket, and when he did, he was inaccurate because
Yep.
Devontae Adams had like a 90-yard bomb touchdown ready to go. It's just like it fell like 5 yards short.
Or 5
Completely
yards
missed
ahead.
him. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
completely missed him.
Yeah, he got completely overthrown twice on what would have been go-ahead touchdowns.
Which
Like,
would have completely sealed
It
my
would
week.
totally changed the game,
Yep.
too. Like, it would have
Yeah.
actually made that game competitive. But Raiders gonna Raider.
Yeah. I had
Those
another
are-
They're taking the AFC West curse away from the Chargers.
something
tell you
like
what.
that. It's because they went to Vegas.
Yep.
The thing that happened to me this week was yet again my offensive guys didn't do shit. I mean, Tua did decent. He had a couple bad turnovers, but it still didn't matter. They ended up beating New England easily, like an
Yeah.
absolute like a blowout, not like a close game. And they squeaked out a victory in the end, but it was just like the usual Tua experience: arm punts, fumbles, bunch of touchdowns. Tyreek Hill played in this game and got it done. But like Kenneth Walker did nothing because aside from like the first drive where he had a huge run, the Seahawks ran for a total of like 13 plays in a game where they were playing against the top defense in the league and decided to give Geno the ball on like 40 pass attempts, which drove me crazy. Like that doesn't make sense. Like even I can sit there and see that there's a problem with that offensive plan, because why would you throw the ball that many times against a team that the only success against them has been on the ground all season long?
And when your running
But
backs are
did
being
you
deficient-
lose?
We did not. And it was because of the defense.
which is something that can't have been said in the last 2 years, 3
Right.
years, or I don't know. It's too much to count. Yeah, it's been a long time since the defense has won us a game.
It's honestly refreshing.
Yeah, I mean,
Jamal Adams.
That sounds like traditional Seahawks football, honestly.
Jamal
Yeah,
Adams with the
we're
headbutt.
finally moving back to it's nice.
Yeah, Jamal Adams had that highlight reel headbutt that ended up being it was a PBU, so it bounced off his helmet, and then Jordan Love caught it.
You mean
A helmet
Or Julian
deflection
Love,
for an
sorry.
int.
Yeah, so he got his head up
Amazing.
there, and it boinked off the top of his helmet, went woo-loo-loo-loo-loo through the air, and then
Fluttered
Julian
over
Love
to
ended up
another DB.
catching it, which gave
Amazing.
us position basically at midfield, which it was basically elementary. Like it was all like Geno could have fucked that up at any moment and lost the game. He did manage to get a good tap pass to JSN, and DK had a ridiculously
Monster.
clutch block that ended up sealing it. But yeah, it was a nasty game offensively for the Seahawks again.
it's gonna be that way next week too, because now that just
I
because of that
fucking want to score
performance,
those blocks.
the Baltimore Ravens now have like the top-rated defense in most metrics. It's just gonna be rough.
Yeah.
I wish it was my job to like watch football all day and just like look for those blocks and score them for this league, because I want to fucking score those so fucking bad.
I mean, that would be
Like-
just as bad as tackles, man. It's so inconsistent and like, did he, that sort of thing, like double when people
Yeah,
get doubled.
is it a partial?
Yeah.
No, but I mean like a real
Impact block.
a dominating
Right.
block. Right? Like
Yeah.
and
Like the
that-
one
that
last
gets a
week
little-
on the Amon-Ra touchdown. That was just insane.
Yeah.
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 Craig
a dominating
Reynolds.
block.
Craig Reynolds just like annihilated that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And
if
it was
he
as
doesn't
much his
annihilate
touchdown.
That guy, yeah, exactly. If he
It's
doesn't
a
annihilate that
modest
guy, it's
gain,
not
maybe a
touch.
first down, not a touchdown sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like this
Yeah,
same
it's a
thing
good
with
play,
DK
but
here.
that block sprung the fucking whole thing that broke it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about DK more later, but he had a really weird game because he was targeted like a lot, nearly 15 times. I think he had 14 targets.
So hang on though. Like 7 of those were just Gino throwing the ball over his head.
Yeah, there was a lot of
Right.
that. This
Like
this
just
game.
throwing
Throwing it
the ball
away.
away. It was
Throwing it away.
disgustingly
Yeah.
bad. Like Gino's that's all Gino. That has nothing to do. That's what I hate about the target
Sounds like Gino
numbers,
had a
because unless you
quintessential
watch
Aaron
the
Rodgers
game, you would have no fucking clue that most of those targets were just him throwing the ball away, and not because DK couldn't go after the ball or didn't like try for the ball. It was literally because Gino was just throwing like shit.
Fired
all
it.
day.
Right.
Well, he just fired it out of bounds in the vicinity of DK because
Yeah.
he's got the arm strength to be able to just do that. So he does it the old-fashioned Aaron Rodgers way of just being like, "Fuck, gotta get this out. I don't care if you're not ready for it. I'm gonna make it so that it's in your vicinity, and no one else can get it."
Yeah. Well,
Like,
some
they
other
are
guys.
so, like,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. They're so uncatchable. It's just so weird how they count that
Yeah.
even as like a stat, in my
Right.
opinion.
I
Like,
mean,
it
it's
should
just like
it should
in
just
the
be an attempt
vicinity.
that goes to nobody.
Yeah.
Some of them, I totally agree with you. What matters is receptions, though. That's ultimately what it boils down to. Is like
I mean,
target share, like the percentage of targets that go to a player, and then like how many they actually catch, like how often do they convert. Those two metrics are important, but like
Yeah, it
targets
shows
by
you who they're
itself in a
throwing the ball toward the
vacuum
most.
can be misleading for sure. I agree with
I
you
mean,
on that one.
I think a lot of that, what that means too is that the defense is disrupting the timing. Right? They're getting a jam somewhere. They're pressuring the quarterback to
No,
throw quickly.
literally,
I
it's
mean,
because Gino's blind. I literally saw DK open like 5 times, and he just threw the ball
Yeah,
way
no.
over his head
I can
instead of
vouch for
throwing it
that.
at him.
I
It was
watched that.
terrible.
I saw a
Okay.
lot of that
Terrible.
too. Where
That's bad
DK's
news.
running a route and Gino doesn't finish his progress. Like he looks at him, but like targets the. It's like you were saying last week. It's just like he makes the first read, the play that it's like designed to go to, and then forces it to him. And if it's DK, he forces it to DK. If it's like whoever, it's just like he doesn't really go through his progressions. Doesn't step up in the pocket. Gino's been really frustrating this year. But yeah.
Terrible quarterback.
Gotta get back to basics, Gino.
So before we move on here, the one guy I wanted to shout out was Quincy Williams is like a
Having
monster.
a year.
This dude
Having a
is just
year.
balling out this year for Ben. Like
Oh,
he's
playing,
a freak, man.
He's playing
He's
hot.
a freak. I wanted to give him props because like that. Yeah, linebackers are awesome, man. I love linebackers. All right.
Those brothers play on the same team, not just as a side.
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's a cool story for the NFL for sure.
Yeah.
Let's move on here.
Yeah,
So
that's
we got
fun.
John and Casey, who laid an egg basically. Casey really struggled this week. He did have Tyreek Hill, who
Usual.
Did
good
he
Tyreek
was
Hill stuff.
he was questionable, and it was borderline whether or not he'd play this game. And it was kind of like, if Tyreek Hill doesn't play in this game, do the Dolphins even stand a chance against Bill Belichick's defense? But it ended up not mattering because he played anyway and was an absolute freak of nature yet again, and is the wide receiver 1 on the season.
Casey's offense did just fine.
Yeah, it was,
Except for-
Other than his flex didn't do so hot. But,
yeah. Little
Yeah,
Josh Reynolds
Josh
kind of.
Reynolds. I mean, this is why you trade for Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Is it though?
I mean, you don't need a number one. You have a Monra. Like,
Yeah. You have
Yeah,
number two with Laporta.
this one is rough. I mean, this was also a game where the defense was so good that so when you get a defensive touchdown, it completely changes the complexion of the game, right?
It's true.
The other team ended up getting a defensive touchdown and they were already ahead, right? So Vegas got that nasty pick six that Goff threw.
Marcus Peters.
But
let's go.
that was not enough to put them ahead. They were already running the ball well. They didn't really need to throw that much to win this game because of how awful Vegas was, right? So they didn't really need Josh Reynolds here. It just ended up being a game where Jahmyr Gibbs had his, career best day, his coming out party at Trevor's expense, which we'll get to. But like,
well, maybe we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we'll talk about Jahmyr Gibbs when we get to your matchup. But yeah, Josh Reynolds wasn't really needed in this game, is my point.
The only thing
which
that
explains
really
why
happened
his
to
usage
Casey
was the way it was.
his flex. Josh Reynolds played like shit. Justice Hill had an average game.
Javon Hargrave goosed.
Javon Hargrave was non-existent, and Minka Fitzpatrick got hurt.
He got hurt, right? Yeah.
I think Gus Edwards is starting to run away with the.
It's hard
the
to cover
RB1.
a Thibodeau 30 bomb when a half your player, like a quarter of your players, either get hurt, don't play, or are just non-existent.
It's not even really it's not even really that Casey had a fighting chance in this game though, because John's team yet again went absolutely nuclear because I mean Travis Etienne is unreal right now.
Etienne's better like going forward too, because the Jags traded for a pretty good guard, and like so that it solidifies the line more, and that just means the running game is going to be better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wide
receivers.
He sacrificed Kendrick Bourne with an ACL for this game.
True. It's a rough situation.
Yeah.
But for him at least, because
Jalen Hurts, another good game. AJ Brown, he's propping up AJ Brown as being, he's literally setting records right now.
He barely beat Washington. Let's be real here.
For fantasy though, this was a massive day.
Air raid game.
Throw it all over the yard.
That was great.
I also want to point out that they did the brotherly shove and it failed.
Oh my god.
They actually fucked it up.
Washington is a surprisingly, I mean, like, maybe not so much anymore now that they've traded away two of their best D linemen, but like they're a pretty physical team.
Yeah, I think that's clearly
and division games always weird,
Washington sucks.
Yeah, Washington.
They do suck.
They're terrible.
But division games still weird.
Anybody really understands how bad it's going to get in Washington.
The Eagles let them score 31 points while they've taken the most sacks. The Washington has taken the most sacks all year. How do you not get to Sam Howell?
You just don't show up today. Like
literally,
and
their
trap game division
do
nonsense.
Jack
That's
shit.
I think it's a miracle the Eagles walked out of this without another L.
Weren't they down? They were down 0-14 right off the rip, right? I think that was the case. This was a game where they had to.
It was a great game for me in the beginning, and then I stopped watching in the third quarter after I.
And then that's when the Eagles did the Eagles.
Brown just absolutely annihilate the scoreboard. I was like, I'm turning this game off.
Yeah, I mean, going forward though, like Washington is only going to get worse. Like all the players on that team, I'm like very skeptical of. Like Josh Harris, like the trust the process thing that I was throwing around, like that is a real thing where they like the Sixers would like get like draft players, they would like make like an all-star team or something. They would then trade them off to get worse and get picks. Like that's what Washington's doing right now. Like it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah, I mean they just
using a blown out strategy that's never worked for a team in the NBA. Wow, good job.
I mean they could have gone way harder here. They didn't trade away any of their offensive skill position guys, and you know, they
I'm surprised Brian Robinson didn't.
It
request
looks
for
like a
trade.
defensive rebuild, which is wild because that was the strength of the team. So it's like, what the hell are you doing here? Like,
Again, I'm telling you, they're selling
we're
off
trusting
all
the
the pieces.
process here, right?
They're trusting
Yeah.
the process. Like,
I don't
it's
trust
gonna
their
look
front
really
room
bad,
worth a
and it's gonna be
goddamn.
bad for years.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how bad teams stay bad.
Yep.
This is reminiscent of the AJ Brown trade during the draft. It's like maybe we could get. It's like that Peter Griffin, a boat's a boat meme. It's like,
With the box, it could even be a boat.
yeah,
Yeah.
Montez Sweat is Montez
Yeah.
Sweat, but the draft pick could be anything. It could even be Montez Sweat. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what they're going into here. It's like Chase Young was the second overall pick a couple years back, and they traded him away for peanuts, effectively.
Literally nothing. Like
A comp pick.
actually, literally nothing. Which
A
the
comp
pick, if
pick.
he walks, the
Yeah,
49ers
no,
get
it's
back.
gonna be like pick
it's a
number
literal
100.
nothing.
You know,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
like
It's a clown show.
for
over
a
there,
number
man.
2 overall, like, and it's not like he's been bad either when he's not been injured. I mean, I guess that's it.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's really is.
Kayvon Thibodeau, though, this was
Gibbs, yeah. And
so
Blankenship had a game too, but
honestly, Kayvon Thibodeau was the only thing worth mentioning in this game because somehow this game ended up being more unwatchable than that primetime Broncos Colts game from last year
oh,
because there was 24
yeah, this sucked.
punts. 24 punts, which is
This game
far and
sucked.
away a record in a game. And it went to overtime, just like that Colts Broncos game last year. And it ended
really hoping
with a field
overtime
goal.
would get it back, but no. just more time.
That game was the worst.
I pity those who
not-
watch this, although it did end up being a massive defensive game, which really helped.
I liked honestly.
John
I
Mayer.
had a good time watching it.
You're crazy.
But I mean,
what is enjoyable about
it sucked. It sucked
punts,
offensively. The punting was bad.
Yes.
The punting was definitely bad.
Yes,
Didn't want to
that
see
is
that.
bad.
Didn't want to see that. The defenses were very good. So many people got sacked.
The only thing exciting about punts is watching Dickinson hit a fucking 80-yard punt that lands on the 2-yard
Coffin
line. That's
corner
probably-
it.
That's
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah,
coolest shit
see,
ever.
It's
I am
amazing
not-
that guy doesn't get more love from Pat McAfee with how far he bombs. the ball.
Facts, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true.
Just the fact that he just doesn't mention him, he's like just
It makes
doesn't know
no
his-
sense. It's like, dude, how do you not know this guy exists?
Pat
McAfee's a
McAfee's
fucking
against
turd.
Australians.
You know, he doesn't like the Seahawks.
Doesn't like Seahawks. Like
He doesn't like the Seahawks.
yeah. He
that's
can't look
probably
bad
true.
for his friend Aaron Rodgers, dude. He can't be fraternizing with the enemy, you know.
Oh man, that's dumb. Fuck Aaron Rodgers.
Facts.
At least we can
You're
agree
not
on that,
saying
Steve.
conference
You,
anymore.
no,
It's
like for real. Fuck Aaron Rodgers and fuck you for getting us into this situation.
Dude, just
This is his fault.
look at John's bench. Look at this. This is disgusting.
Dude,
He scored
Yeah.
like enough points to like beat half the league with his bench. Like he's just absolutely going off.
dude, look at
What
Jason
the
Bell,
hell?
man. Like
That's
Yo.
insane. That's like
Won't trade either, huh?
that's insane.
Probably not.
I mean, if you got the depth, like this is how you win.
He's sitting pretty, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else like worth talking about? Should move on.
Casey, you had a shit week. I'm sorry, man. That
Yeah.
sucks.
It happens. Also, coming up this week, most of Casey's players are on bye when he plays against me.
Oof.
I noticed
Targets
that
with
in our
record
matchup.
number of bye weeks.
Yes.
This week.
You know what?
This
We'll
year.
talk about it when we go over next week's matchups.
Yeah, fun.
All right.
Next up, we got Jordan and Kelsey.
Wow, Kelsey had a week finally.
This is
Jordan had a
that's
bigger
like-
week.
this sucks.
Oh my God.
This just sucks so bad.
And it didn't
Like-
matter.
Yeah. I think Jordan got retribution for the game where CMC had like 50 points and he lost
Oh
because
yeah.
he like CMC again, another touchdown, at least one, right? He got he got one touchdown, but he was again. He got two, rushing and receiving, and he didn't he tie an NFL record for most consecutive
Did he
TDs?
so.
tie it or he did? I thought
No, he tied it.
Consecutive
He tied
games
it.
with TDs.
Most consecutive, which is 17. He's 17 games straight. The last guy who did it was some dude from way before we were born.
Fucking the 70s.
Yeah, some shit like that. That's like who?
Miles Sanders, the goose egg on the other side too. Like,
Yeah, that's. Ooh.
The situation with Miles Sanders is
The
like,
thing is that like fucking every single one of these dudes went off, and
his entire team just went
and
hit the
and
over.
Kelsey's few like little missteps here, like the Miles Sanders, like Kelsey put up a phenomenal game, but even if she did play her best one, she still couldn't have beat it.
Yeah,
So, like,
it's one of those
fuck
things where
that,
it's like even if you
know?
play, like you literally cannot win. You just went up against the
Yeah.
buzzsaw. You got handled.
you got the historic like D Hop game. It didn't matter. Like, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think I didn't.
Yeah.
Danny get like 260
That sucks.
points week 1 or something. Is this the record?
I think
Or was
Danny's
it?
is still
Danny's was insane from earlier this season. I don't remember which week it was though. 265-68 week 3. So this is second, I believe.
Yeah.
There's a. I think if you go to
Jordan scored 250 multiple times this year, though.
Yeah.
Jesus.
oh right, there's. Dude, the web app is such garbage compared to
Yeah,
the
week 2,
mobile app.
Jordan scored 250. Is it week 4? Hang on, no. It's 209.
We have like
Week
a
2,
shit ton
Jordan
of
scored
teams
250,
scoring over
John,
200,
week 5,
and then a
scored
bunch of
105.
two teams scoring like about 170, and then a bunch scoring about 150.
This was a really weird week because
It was such a weird week.
we're finally starting to see that swing back into
Yeah,
the
parity
offensive, like the
engine.
between defense and offense. Whereas the first part of the season was mostly defense going apeshit. We're finally starting to see offenses wake up. It's getting cold. Football is here, and you're starting to see your fantasy relevant players doing something, which is so refreshing to see. But it can be frustrating because you can end up in a situation like Kelsey's in here where you just get absolutely run over by the other team that had all the players that did everything this week. It's
I mean, if it consoles you at all, you beat every other team in the league other than Jordan. So.
Yep.
You beat
Yeah, I
everybody.
mean, Kelsey's
everybody else.
Kelsey's team in terms of like points scored is doing okay. So like even if she falls to that position where she is fighting for the 6th seed, this kind of week is what saves you in that situation, because when it comes down to it, it's usually like, a game. It's like a week's worth of games that can decide whether or not you're in or out with that system.
Kelsey and I are in like a neck and neck race for the number 6 least, or like the number 4 least points scored.
Yeah.
The thing about Jordan's team is depth. So if players start going down,
He's fine.
I don't know, man.
Well, Rashid Shaheed filled in just fine.
Gabe Davis is not the move.
I mean,
Dude,
Rashid Shaheed and
A
Gabe
fucking
Davis are like the same
3
player.
receptions
McKinnon
for
is not the
153
move. Russell Wilson
yards.
is not the move. Jamal
What the
Williams is not the
fuck?
move. Adam
JSN
Lazard
is
is
crazy.
not the move.
Move.
JSN is like a whiff. Like you never know. Like
Lattimore,
literally,
I mean, still
I'm
decent.
telling you right now. Like his defense maybe has
Gabe
some
Davis
backups,
is gonna regress too.
but all of his offensive backups are non-existent in this game.
I mean, I disagree with Gabe Davis. I mean, I would plug him in.
Dude, you don't know if Gabe Davis.
You don't know what you're gonna
game
get.
or a 20-point game. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah,
you're
but
gonna
like
get-
the ceiling is so high that it's like when you
I mean,
hit
that's
it,
the
you
same
win the
with
week,
Rashid
But it's like it's
Like-
this. It's like the same thing with Rashid Shaheed. It's like you just pointed out, he had like 3 receptions, but they were all bombs. That's literally the same
Yeah.
mold that Gabe Davis has been his entire life. Like
That's totally true.
Jordan's guys are like basically boomer bust. You know,
Boomer bust.
yeah. Except for like
Yeah.
Amon-Ra, Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, he's got a bunch of good. Keenan Allen's a great floor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got Khalif Raymond.
He's setting up a good floor and then putting himself in a
Hawkins
situation
being
where he can
there.
play some of those boomer bust guys, and he's been lucky with them.
Yeah. It's like all the players that he has in his lineup week in, week out is just like blowing out the opposition every single time. It's like it's I'm on another level energy, man. I'm telling you.
Except for against me. I'm his kryptonite.
It's
apparently.
true. The,
All
the,
right, anything
the
else?
true rival. It is true. That was the original rivalry, Steve. You're gonna have to like beat Trevor first.
Yeah, you're gonna have to figure out your own rival, dude. I've been rivaling him since RC days, dude.
DeAndre Hopkins on Kelsey's team. Now I wanted to highlight him because he pretty much has awoken the mayonnaise man. Will Levis came out and was just had a laser show, and DeAndre Hopkins looked like prime DeAndre Hopkins, like 2017, 2018 DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver 1 DeAndre Hopkins out there. That was really cool to see.
Doesn't Casey have?
He has Will Levis, yeah. But
Oh,
Kelsey has
heard-
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, okay.
And he had a 30 burger this week. That was good to
Mayonnaise
see.
Coffee, man, go hard.
And the banana,
The banana with the peel on.
the banana shit is too much. Yeah, I was thinking like after this game, because you know how he had that gnarly breakup with his girlfriend or whatever. I was thinking like he probably got a message in his DMs is like, "Yo, you up?"
Yeah, probably.
That dude
It's amazing what will
is an
happen when you
enigma.
have Ryan Tannehill as your starting quarterback.
Yeah. Aaron Donald finally did something fantasy wise. 2 sacks.
And Bobby.
And Bobby. Bobby had a game.
He
was
turned
a,
it on.
He was a tackle machine. It's the PBU that really broke him apart here. But like, yeah, bunch of tackles from Bobby, which is what you want.
Wait, click on Bobby. He hasn't even had a 10-point game, I don't think, up until now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's mostly
What?
No, he had the Giant the game
30-point
against the
game?
Giants.
Yeah.
That was the one though. That was the
And
one.
the
And that was
against the revenge game against the Rams with 18
Giants-
tackles.
the Giants game
Woof.
was also a sack party. Like that was like
Yeah.
anybody could. It's like you get a sack and you get a sack and you get a sack.
The first week too, he had 15 points. I mean, that's something.
That's because he had 18 tackles because our defense was shit and we could not handle the Rams, and it was always catch up desperation mode. It's like PPR scam shit for linebacker is the where you're playing bad but you're getting tackles because you're getting beat.
Yeah,
Which is what happened in that game.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like,
for fantasy it doesn't matter. It's the same thing as like the Kamara game a couple weeks ago where he got like 1 million targets and had 1 billion points, but it was like a really ugly game. He had like, yeah,
I mean, that was Jahmyr Gibbs last week. He got like over 100 yards, like 10 catches or whatever, but it was all like they were down 30. Didn't matter.
yeah.
Garbage time points.
Garbage time. Everyone's favorite time. The end of the game when you're like, oh, come on. Get those garbage points. It was like, that was me with Marquise Brown. Literally. Touchdown at the last second. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's usually,
Okay, so who's
usually
next?
where Thielen shines this year is giving me garbage time points. We didn't get shit this year. This
Well,
game,
the Carolina
Carolina
Panthers
won.
they're in garbage time by the third quarter. So
second.
except for this week.
Yeah, it's because they won this week. So you missed out on your garbage.
Facts. Anyways,
Garbage is important, man. You gotta take care of
Casey or Danny and fucking Steve. Are you Danny's kryptonite?
I broke the curse?
Right?
I don't
You broke
know.
The curse.
So before we get into this,
I think the comic
I
needs
think-
to be
so the
immediately
comic-
referenced.
He
So-
took too many mushrooms. That's what happened.
the
He ate
comic
a-
from the week where he played Trevor cracked me legitimately cracked me the fuck up. With
This week?
he was looking at the
Heavy
A10
time.
Warhog and he was like, oh, I
Yeah.
guess it didn't matter because his team just destroyed itself basically. That
Yeah.
cracked me the fuck up. But this one this week beat it.
Oh yeah. Am I gonna be like this forever?
Yeah, no, that's
It's like
Very-
it's
oh,
so
boy.
relatable. It's a bunch of like
Yeah.
stoners. It's like
I've been there. We've all been there.
Yo, for sure. No, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Josh Allen
Josh Allen doing Josh Allen.
was
Gus
not
Edwards-
was not Mush Allen this
It's
week.
not
Not
much. Yeah,
He
no.
was not Mush. Brees Hall was greased up. Gus
Yep.
Bus
The Gus bus left the station.
rode Arizona
dude
to the promised
ran them
lands.
all over. Like, go. Like, just
Dude, what? Okay, so this was so weird because it goes against everything that we know about the Ravens and how Lamar Jackson steals touchdowns from the running backs and makes the running backs on this team fucking pointless. But look at Steve coming in here with his waiver wire trash and destroying one of the best teams in the fantasy league this week with him.
He sacrificed Fats Waller for it.
yeah, he
I
did.
did.
Is that
I
what
did.
happened?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sacrificed
The wall
Darren
was-
Waller.
the wall
Darren
was-
Waller was
He
sacrificed
pulled out
to
the
the
Darren
fantasy
Waller
gods.
Ouija board and was like, "Sorry, goodbye."
Your turn.
Or the voodoo doll? You had the voodoo
Hamstring.
doll out?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I traded away Aaron
He stuck
Jones, and
two
the hamstring
pins in his
curse
hamstring
jumped.
and was like, "You're
Like-
done." Snapped the
Ugh.
pins off.
I'm giving these to Gus Edwards.
It's like, yeah.
What I will say about the Ravens is that their new offensive coordinator has a much more traditional idea about how to use running backs. So Gus Edwards is taking a lot more of that goal line stuff and a la Jamal Williams kind of role from the Lions last year.
I wonder what that means for Justice Hill though, because like I don't really know Justice Hill's profile as much as I do Gus, because I've watched him for longer and I don't really pay attention to the Ravens backfield because it's been a mess for fantasy for years. But
I
like,
think
isn't
is
Justice Hill?
settling into the pass blocking?
Yeah, isn't
back.
isn't he like blocking and like a receiving threat for them, or was he supposed to be like?
Yeah,
Well,
he's got-
that's
he's got
he
more
was
speed
a-
than Gus Edwards.
He's a
Like, he's
sweep.
fast-
He's a sweeper.
Yeah.
So he's kind of
He's
like
the draw
he's a
play-
scat back.
Draw play guy. Fucking.
So he's a scat back.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
if you
this
want to be a
is
scat back, you
not
got to be
playing
Austin Eckler.
Progression though, like your offense is no longer just like weird.
Yeah, the Ravens have returned to a more traditional looking offense that still does heavily feature Lamar, but
I mean, yeah,
they're
they
not
should.
putting him on the line on the goal line in the same way anymore because like he's proved more than enough that he can throw.
Right, but if you can win it on the ground, they're gonna win it on the ground, and they knew they could win it on the ground against Arizona, so they just ran the ball all day.
Yep.
That's true.
And
They're
Gus,
not gonna air
Gus
raid
is
a
a great
defense
vehicle for
that
that.
can pick the ball off and run it back and
No,
potentially
no.
change the game. They're just
Not
gonna fucking
anymore.
Run the ball.
No, why
Not
would
anymore. They used to be in the
mean-
past, but not these days.
they? And then yeah, I mean, what more is there to say really on my team aside from Marcus
I mean,
Peters and his...
Micah Parsons was hype this week. I mean, hype, overhype. You
Oh
decide.
yeah, he was hyped.
He was hyped this
He
week.
decided to be hyped this week.
Yeah.
With
Foye
his
Sade,
sack.
Aluakon,
Foye
he
did his
went
Foye.
crazy.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
defense went crazy.
He game wrecked.
Marcus Peters. got
Marcus
his,
Peters had a pick six.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
that
75-yard
and-
pick six.
and-
that
I
was
I
sick
was
too.
salt. I was salt that we didn't have interception yards, but
So
that's all right.
So the play where he did this though was interesting because Jared Goff tried to throw the ball away. Like it was a play where he just decided to abandon it and then didn't put enough air behind the ball and
Didn't
it
get
ended
enough
up
oomph
just
on it.
floating towards the target. And then Marcus Peters, being a veteran,
Yoink.
jumped the route and housed it. It was sick. It was actually a really cool play.
It was a sweet play.
It's actually it made him cramp up too after this. Marcus Peters
Yeah, he
didn't
he
really
worked
do anything.
too hard.
Yeah, the old man's back gave out.
Yeah, he had like 2 more tackles after that, but like
You got what you needed to out of him.
Yeah,
here.
he
A
did-
pick
he
six
did his
is
job.
acceptable.
Pick
He
six
did his
and a pass
job.
defense. Oh my god, yeah, that's all you need.
dude, it was he had a phenomenal game.
Well,
Honestly,
a
the
pick
thing
six
is,
includes
too,
a PD,
is
so it's a PD. So an
Like what?
interception, yeah. So it counts as an interception, a PD,
PD.
and a touchdown.
That
because
shouldn't be a thing.
no, that's how the statistics
it's-
are calculated.
I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that shouldn't be a thing.
I mean, that's how the statistics
It's
are
how
calculated.
It's how it's calculated. So it's the scoring's been
Not
sort
just
of
for fantasy,
adjusted.
like for actual statistics, PD.
Yeah.
It's because it
Right.
by
An
definition
int is a pass defense.
yeah, it's its own statistic.
You've
So
defensed
interception
a
and
pass
PDs.
if you intercept it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it prevents the receiver from catching the ball, so it counts as a
Anyway.
PD and an interception.
It should be
Danny's
a PD or
team,
an interception, though, is what I'm saying.
Like, pretty much went off except for like a few key areas here, and that is Lamar Jackson, Devonta Foreman, and Cooper Kupp. And because like we trade the L's in the tight ends, whatever, it's a wash. But like if those skill positions had just done like a little bit more for him, this would have been, a lot closer in that circumstance. Marcus Peters kind of blew up too, but
Yeah.
For the most part, like
Cooper Kupp was a non-factor in this game though, because Dallas was completely dominating them
just
at every
destroyed the
level in this
Rams.
game. CeeDee
Yeah.
Lamb had a ridiculous game that we'll talk about when we get to, or no, John has him. I think we skipped over that with John's game.
Yeah, well, he was the wide receiver one.
That he was the one. I'm sorry, John. He was the wide receiver one and had a career game,
Yeah.
and was a big reason why they absolutely dominated the Rams in this game. But like Deron Bland also had a pick six, which we'll talk about with Josh's matchup. But the Rams couldn't do anything, and then Matthew Stafford ended up hurting his hand at the end of the game. So it was just like it was a bad day for LA. And
The
that
Bears
contributed
also
greatly to
here-
the output here for Cooper Kupp.
They have a true 30-30-30 split for their running backs between Roshan, Foreman, and Darrington Evans. It's bad news for fantasy
Yeah.
at this point. Like,
Also-
looking at that committee, woof.
Also, Jonnu Smith. so
Desmond Ritter's off the field. He's no good, I guess.
well, so here's the thing: is Kyle Pitts was blocking on a trick play where Arthur Smith had Jonnu Smith throw the ball to Michael Pruitt in the red zone for a touchdown that absolutely failed. This is the level of Arthur Smith's brain right now.
Dude, how does they're 4-4. Like, I don't know how, if without just some run of wins, he keeps his job at this point. Like, it's wild.
He needs to go.
Money.
The thing he could be a mediocre coach. I don't care about that. It's the fact that he's so fucking condescending in all of it. Like whenever he interacts with the media, he's always cutting people off, answering their questions before they can even get the question out. It's like he assumes he's like acts like he's the smartest guy in the room. And you can tell just based on the games that that's the case, because he's just like got this galaxy brain, like I'm smarter than you and know best attitude that's just insufferable. And it translates offensively to stupid shit like that, where you have a freak of nature tight end in Kyle Pitts blocking for your tight end 2 to throw to Michael Pruitt, who is nobody, for a touchdown.
After taking 3 top 10, legit weapons.
I don't understand.
Them.
I
To
don't
not
understand.
playing them.
Johnny Smith wasn't even involved in this game. Like,
Yeah,
it's a nightmare.
it's bad news.
Myles Garrett did not ruin the Seahawks as I thought he would, which was pleasant to watch, but not so pleasant for Danny's fantasy team. He did end up getting a sack, though, towards the end of the game, which almost sealed the deal.
He was pretty productive.
He was productive, but he was
good.
bottled
He
up.
got a forced fumble, sack. Obviously, he only had 2 tackles, but that's just because he was getting triple teamed by our offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
based on
that's
what
like
we've
He's
seen,
still 8.
With Myles
Base-
Garrett. It's
this-
not it's Myles Garrett.
Myles
This is
Garrett,
Myles Garrett.
like playing against Danny and seeing Myles Garrett on his team is kind of like sitting in front of CMC. It's like, I am going to die. This guy is going to go fucking ham. And you're lucky if you get away with even a performance like this, where it's really good. Like most defensive linemen would be like, cool, 13 points. But like for him, it's like it's game break. It's like having Travis Kelsey at line. Like he just breaks that position wide open. Other than that, though, I mean, Danny
Nothing
just
you
had
can
floor
do, Danny.
games. He had floor games. Nothing you could do. Steve,
Your team is so hurt, bro, that I'm surprised you scored 140 points.
yeah, Danny's been having a rough one here.
The
Steve-
injuries are piling up.
Injuries are finally catching up to him.
You're
miracle he's
doing.
been on.
Yeah, it's a miracle you're still in the game.
Coming into this week, or actually out of this week, there are around 90 injuries to relevant offensive weapons in the league today. And
Woof.
11 teams are playing with backup quarterbacks this week, as of this week.
I'm so glad we
Jesus.
got to play with like just the aggregated defense. Like
11 out
easiest
of
thing to do
32 teams.
have
That's
backup.
a
It's
lot.
it's a
That's
whole
a lot.
third.
That's a lot.
yeah.
It's a whole
We got to
third of
clearly
the
we got to change the rules and protect the quarterbacks, right?
Well, I mean, half these injuries to quarterbacks are them just making weird
Aging out,
steps and
basically.
aging out. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not one of those things where
Yeah, you just
getting
got
hit.
old men out there, and then you have young players that are like deer in the headlights, clueless, like Desmond
Yeah.
Ritter. It's like, oh God, please don't kill me. And then you have
no,
Sam
like-
Howell, who's like been sacked 50 times, and we're halfway through the season, who's like putting up
He's a
40-point fantasy games.
He's a Terminator.
That dude is
He's not
gaming.
real.
That dude
He's
is
not real.
gaming.
I don't know anyone who could take that many hits and not be hurt.
Dude, it's amazing that he's gonna take more sacks this year than David Carr and might actually come back like next year and not just be a broken husk of a person.
I'm sure he'll feel it.
Dude, if Tony Romo took
yeah.
that many sacks, he would have been in the hospital with a broken spine back in the day. Like, there's no fucking way, dude.
All right, what do we got here? We got Matt, and we got Josh.
Dude, the
Sorry,
Patrick
Josh.
Mahomes thing, man. Like,
Oh,
that's-
yeah, Kermit didn't do so hot.
Yeah, that game.
Did he just change
that?
I didn't know. Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He changed it before he started recording this. That's hilarious.
It's one of those games where, like, somehow they lose to, like, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, who the fuck
Trap
expected that?
game.
Like,
Wasn't he sick? I think
Yeah.
he had the
he
flu.
played sick. Yeah, he played sick.
Yeah, that's no excuse though.
Yeah.
No, if you play, you're healthy. That's fucking
Exactly. That's what Shannon Sharp always said. Is like if you're out there, you're 100%. It doesn't matter.
You can't use that as an excuse.
You can't use that as an excuse. Exactly.
But even then, like, look at just the all the floor, just the complete floor that like
Yeah.
Josh put up. Like,
It's the game I had last week, except for he had Deron Bland who had the pick six.
Bland and Bynum, the DBs.
yeah,
The
his
DBs
DBs
coming in hot.
and his
Looks like,
his
hey,
linebacker.
Bynum's
about-
a
think
baller,
about the-
man.
Bynum's
Yeah.
a baller. I mean, yeah, fucking Josh was having trouble with the DBs.
And now he's
starting
having
out.
trouble with offense. Like he's just not.
Yeah,
he
no,
keeps
just, like, it's
seesawing.
just-
It's like gets to one side and then it flips to the other. What the problem
Yeah.
is. And
I mean,
I know.
in
Brutal.
this case, it's really just a case of the bad teams.
yeah, he's got Ramondre Steve Suxenson.
You've got, I mean, like the Patriots are a bad team, the Saints are a bad team,
Yeah,
the
fuck
Jaguars aren't very good, the Texans are getting there but not great.
They put-
Chicago's a bad team.
Carolina was like out for blood this game too. Their defense woke the fuck up. I glossed over it, or I failed to mention it in my matchup, but I didn't play Frankie Louvu, which was stupid as hell.
Yeah, I saw the 31.
And he had a
points on the
career
bench.
game, of course. I pulled a
Good job.
Trevor. Like I was languishing over Dre Greenlaw or Frankie Louvu. I put
Whoa,
in the wrong
wait.
guy. And Frankie Louvu goes out
Stretch
there.
right
The
Five-headed.
definition. Yeah.
I five-headed myself. Yeah. But like, yeah, there's a reason
Manninged.
why the Texans didn't do shit in this game.
Oh no, Matt has CD Lamb. Yeah, Matt.
Oh, Matt has I'm dumb. For some
Yeah.
reason I thought John had him.
Yeah, There's
There
CD.
he is. Yeah, there's the wide receiver 1 on the season.
On the week, not the season.
No, like, isn't this the best wide receiver performance so far?
CD Lamb is not the wide receiver 1 on the season.
No. I mean,
No,
like the best
Tyreek Hill
individual
is.
performance over the entire season, like by week.
I think the Tyreek.
Did
Hill
Tyreek
against
Hill
the
have a
Broncos-
40-point game?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
Tyreek Hill.
It must
I
have been
think
Tyreek.
Tyreek against the Broncos.
It's
has
hard
a
to
There's
beat
better
no
one.
one who
Tyreek.
did him. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
he's like WR gold. He doesn't even like. You can't even put him in the same
Yeah.
category as other wide receivers.
Yeah.
Tyreek.
I mean-
it's like having Kelsey. It's just like you automatically know like this is gonna be a good play.
The
It
fact
doesn't
he's
matter.
not a 99 in Madden is the.
Oh, no,
weird
okay.
stuff.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill, the very first game, came out with 42.5 fantasy points.
Okay, so I think that was the
that's
highest.
the mark to beat.
Yeah.
fantasy
CD Lamb almost got
points-wise
there,
for
38
receivers.
points.
He had a hat trick, didn't he?
No. He
Oh, I
got
thought
2.
He, did.
He got
Oh,
2.
man, if he would have had the hat trick.
DeAndre
then
Hopkins had the hat trick though, which is fucking crazy. A hat trick is a rare thing in football. CD Lamb, he could have got there. I mean,
Impressive,
the
yeah.
Rams just like gave up by halftime.
They
It was
really-
over.
They really did.
Absolutely done. How about this though?
Jamison Williams.
Jameson Williams.
having-
Ugh. Ugh.
Like-
No, like they just
might just be a bust.
no, like yeah, might just be a bust. And
Gambison.
Again,
Hey, yo,
I like
that's a
that.
good name.
yeah, no, I mean he might just be a bust. A and B game scripted out. All the wide receivers not named Amon-Ra St. Brown got game scripted out by the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
by
we
that point, Amon-Ra and Laporta had 8.
Yeah, it's like I was mentioning earlier. It was just not a game for the receivers in this one, but JMO always is like super in his head, it seems, after he makes a mistake on the field. It's like,
Yeah,
I think his issue is all mental, honestly, because he's a really good player. There's a reason he was picked in the first round as a top guy and was projected to be like an alpha wide receiver.
I mean, he was that in the SEC. Like, he was
Yeah.
a damn
This
guy.
guy,
right.
this guy's college. Like, go watch the dude's college tape, and it's like,
Yeah,
wow.
he's got great tape. It pops, but
But then in the pros, it's like he got injured, and then he got popped for the stupid gambling thing, and he became Gambison Williams, and then now he's in his head. He's young, definitely not like I need to drop this guy or I need to ship him for peanuts. It's like you just kind of got to hold on and see what you got here, really, because it's
I think it's
a
kind of
bad
lucky
situation.
Get,
It's just-
like,
It's a young kid with a lot on his shoulders, and he's clearly like not mentally there to play the game, and is playing really badly. Didn't he also get blown up on a run play? If I remember correctly,
I think so.
there was a run play that they
He
had
got
where
like run back through.
he got
for-
ran back and his helmet popped off, and he was just like, "Let's not do that again." Like the look on his face was like, "I almost died. Can we not do that play again, please, Dan?"
Mhm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Chase Young might have known the writing was on the wall. He did not play against Philly. Like
Yeah,
he was bad.
I mean Cincinnati, but yeah.
Oh, Cincinnati. Sorry.
Yeah, he didn't play against Cincy at all.
Yeah. He
Bosa had a bad game because, well,
Bosa's actually been kind
it
of
was against Philly. It was
Bosa's
against
had a
Philly.
down
Was it
year.
against
Like,
Philly?
a
Oh,
notable
okay.
down year.
Yeah, it was against Philly because
Oh
he
yeah,
was a
he got traded
Washington.
teams, so
He
now
got traded,
it
so
just-
that's-
it just
Oh,
has
that's
fucked
weird.
up on the
Updated
Come on,
already.
sleeper, be better. That
Yeah,
display is
no.
so misleading.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I
against
understand why it's an
Philly.
error, but yeah, against Philly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
against Philly is correct.
But I mean, would you want to play for a team that's giving you away tomorrow? Probably not.
Yep.
No,
He probably knew too. Like
he
the
probably
discussion.
Oh, he
knew
knew.
that they were
Yeah.
getting traded.
His coach
Yeah.
was probably like, "Yo, by the way, we're getting you out of here," and he was like, "Okay, bet," and gave up.
I
Protected
doubt-
himself. It's a business decision. Like this is a business.
Yeah, yeah.
I doubt they told him. I don't think players get told.
Certain
I mean,
players
it
do,
would
certain
be a
players
good-
don't. Of
It would be
course
a
they do.
courtesy
It
to a
depends on
former
how
number
good-
2.
It depends on
overall.
how good of a relationship you have with your GM
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and your agent, because your agent is really like there's no way his agent didn't contact him and be like, "Hey, we're hearing this and this from this team and this team. You probably will get traded on this
Right.
day." They're not getting like some players are getting blindsided, but not most.
Most see
Most
the
of them-
writing on the
Yeah.
wall.
There's
you know.
too much
Right.
technology in 2023 for them to not be finding out
To them not
through
know.
the
Yeah.
grapevine. It's just not a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in the 80s, you know, players got blindsided all the time because there was no like tracking of this kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
not nowadays, man.
What do you think is going on with Nick?
People
I'm sorry. Go
are
ahead.
too loudmouthed.
Yeah, I agree with
What's
that.
going
totally.
on with Nick Bosa? is
Yeah,
that
I
he
want to
doesn't
talk
have
about Nick
enough-
Bosa.
He doesn't have enough help on his line.
Do you think he's not got enough money? Is that the issue?
No.
I think he's at the point in his career where people know he's scary and he's getting doubled and triple teamed.
Yep. I think
Yeah, I
that's
And
think
fair.
so
that's
if
gonna be
you
the bad
don't
news.
remove him from the equation, you don't get yards. Period. Like you have to remove him from the equation if you're a defensive coordinator going
I
against him.
mean,
Yeah,
Look
he gets
at
the Miles
these-
Garrett treatment. I mean, he won
these-
DPOY last year. It's not like anybody has an excuse to let him like destroy a game.
he's putting up bad numbers in San Francisco's losses these last 2 games. He's putting up good numbers in wins because they're letting him fucking pin his ears back and rush the passer a little bit more,
Yeah,
pulling out more sacks in those games.
I vividly remember the
The
game
game
against the
script thing.
Giants where he got his sack, where they didn't even cover him, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. The 49ers get cute and dial up a lot more pressures when they're winning. If they're not putting together on offense, then they don't put as much together in their defensive package. They get a little stale.
Yeah, I think he'll still be fine though. Since they made the trade that they did, it'll take some pressure off of him because they have to focus elsewhere on how they're
Chase
going to
Young's
block.
going to be an issue.
Mhm.
So, which
Let's
is
talk
dumb.
about the closest matchup of all year.
Yeah, let's get into it.
The most bad beat that is still pending. We
Yeah,
still have a
still-
couple
yeah.
days. We still have a couple
This-
days where these results could
The
flip due to
stat
a stat
correction
correction.
of Damocles is still lingering
It
here
is,
over this matchup.
and of course, it happens the week that Kirk Cousins ruptures his Achilles, which
Yeah,
is
rip the Kirk
really
Cousins.
fucking shitty.
Rip Kirk.
MVP season.
Everyone loves Kirk Cousins, man. Like that dude. He's
How
a
can you not?
he's a
the nicest dude
cornball.
in the
He's
NFL.
super nice. Yeah, he's a chill dude. It's like,
I mean, he's been a thorn in my side for a long time, but you don't want
He's
I
like,
don't
I
want
don't
to see him
practice
die
now.
like this.
yeah.
Yeah, right. You're the one that voodoo dolled him. You probably stuck
Steve
like
did.
20 pins in his fucking Achilles.
I
And you
stole
were like-
his
And
Achilles.
then you were like, he's gonna pop off this week. Watch, he's gonna get you a 40
No.
burger.
Then his Achilles popped off of his foot.
And then literally 2 minutes later, his
Yeah, I
Achilles
was about to say,
ruptured.
immediately kill him. Like that was like
Ooh.
a precipitating event. Like yeah.
All right. Well,
Never on Hallows Eve, bro.
Messing with the voodoo, man.
we know what happened with Kirk Cousins, but like you had some good things happen to you this week. I mean, Alvin Kamara is like the only option for the Saints to do anything.
Still
So
the
you know,
outlet in that team.
he is the offense pretty much. I
You
mean,
got Edward now.
Austin Ankles finally had a good week back from his injury. That was nice, except for the
Yeah.
fumble. But
he looks back to form.
He looks like he looks good.
He looks fine.
Joe Mixon finally had a good week. He got one. He might get one. He got one.
You might get one. You got one.
Yep.
That's true.
The only player I was kind of disappointed in was Chris Jones, who I just traded for, and TJ Watt just had like a normal burger game. It was just
Normal
like,
burger.
I eat
Normal burger,
chicken
just-
tendies and hang out at home all week.
He
Like,
got a
I don't
half sack.
Understand?
Yeah, that Denver
Much
Kansas City game was just weird as fuck. Cause like,
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes was sick, and like
Yeah, but that would mean that you're probably gonna get more tackles, right? And Chris Jones was like, he got 4 tackles. And like,
Yeah.
no
You would
sacks.
think
It was
that,
like-
but like also Pacheco is a complete nothing, and like you would think
Yeah,
if your quarterback sick, you would try and help him out by giving the ball away.
Pacheco doesn't affect my defensive tackle though. Like if
But, like, the game was weird.
if he's on the field the whole time, good. Now he has a chance to fucking go and do something, and he didn't even do shit.
The whole game
just-
was whack.
He just
Like,
didn't want to play. I guess I don't know.
was there just like I don't know, was it wet? Like,
I mean, it was
is there a
like-
weather
it was like-
reason?
He came into the
There
season
was
hot
a quarter-inch
after
snow
sitting
that,
for the
but
first
not
game
much.
and then just didn't do anything.
I don't know
Was the
how
game-
you.
Was it the first time the team was back in Denver after a long road trip, and then both teams went up high? Basically, that made it sloppy.
No, the Denver defense actually showed up. Like
Mm.
they like weren't like the absolute sieve that they were against Miami. Like they
Right.
weren't any sort of world beater. Like no one's gonna change their opinion on Denver being bad. But it's like they at least like decided to take the field.
Right,
and play.
but every other defense has shut Denver down this year. So why the fuck didn't Kansas City?
Well,
Trap game.
they did spend the last 2 weeks at home, and they came off of it. So they came off of a 2-week road trip, played 2 games at home, and then went to Denver, and got absolutely blown out by Denver. And it was the first time in 16 games that they actually won. It was a weird game, honestly.
Oh yeah, and then Darius Slay had a floor game for some reason.
Yeah, Darius Slay didn't
I was
have any
expecting him to
output
get
at
a
all.
pick. I was hoping for a pick, but nope.
Or maybe even a sack. Like the way that the way that Washington's been playing, it's like
Yeah, or a
anyone can
sack.
sack him. Anyone can sack him. I mean, dude,
Yeah, I mean
Logan Wilson has been like an absolute
been
stud for
balling.
you.
Yeah.
He's been balling out.
Every
Good
week
player.
I've played him, he's played 20 points. He's gotten 20 points because I've sat him a few weeks while he's hasn't like.
And you're like,
had a
oh,
team.
never mind. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
No, we're dropping him in there.
I'm gonna not try and overthink this one. Like, yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying I sat him during Tennessee because I didn't think he was going to do anything, and then I threw him back in the next. He's just always done great for me. I've been able to like script him perfectly this year, which is nice.
I imagine the Chris Jones thing though is that he was just double teamed the whole game. He's the kind of player you have to do that with because he's just such a monster.
Yep.
So,
I mean, that's what they did to Kelsey in this game is they just put 3 dudes on him, and it was like, all right.
which is I don't understand why other people don't do that. It's like every single time I see a blow up Kelsey game, it's like he's just running free over the middle, and then Patrick Mahomes there's just like nobody within 5 yards in any direction, and he's just wide open, and he just turns up field, blows through 3 guys because he's fucking 6'4", 300 million pounds, and just falls down. and then oftentimes that happens on the goal line, and that's how he gets all of his touchdowns because it's like, let's not block Travis Kelsey when they have nobody at wide receiver. It made more sense with when Tyreek Hill was in this offense that it was like, oh, we got to put attention on him. But it's like Rashee Rice is the only option on this team that's like dangerous.
What you're worried about MVS?
See the Skylar drop? He's in the end zone. It hits him in the hands. He drops it. It's like there's nobody on. Like there are no wide receivers. Like I don't think Tooney has gotten a target in like 10 weeks. Like they don't throw to him.
They don't use him because I don't think he knows the offense. To be honest with you, it's like he's clueless. He doesn't.
That's why like the Giants got rid of him is because
he plays like
up,
15 snaps, runs 150%. And if he catches the ball, it's either like a huge chunk gain or a touchdown. But if he doesn't do that, he doesn't do anything.
He showed up to a Giants practice without his cleats. Like
how?
Yeah, because that's Darius Toney. Like I don't know, man. He's like not.
I don't know how I missed that. I love Kadarius Toney, so I don't. I'm surprised
dude.
I've never heard that. I believe it though.
Dude is stoned. He's perma-stoned.
Well, he had he had two, or his cleats were too small or something, so he just didn't wear them. It was something about like he had the wrong shoes. Or didn't
That's
have
so
shoes.
funny.
Come on.
Well, Aaron Jones did nothing. Like you traded for him and he fumbled for you. Congratulations. Steve, what is going on with Aaron Jones in Green Bay? Because like
he's coming with a hamstring.
He's dealing with a hamstring injury. It's they're doing a bad job of rehabbing him. And
using him,
basically
apparently.
keeping him off the field to try and continue to rehab him while also acknowledging that they can't win without him. So, damned if they do, damned if they don't. Also, the offensive line can't run block for shit, so they can't run for shit. Further setting up Jones for more injury.
The bye week stuff that's next week. Like I actually needed a guy.
Yeah.
and I don't have another guy, so yeah, got one. But yeah, no.
Yeah, he
James
won't be
Cook
on bye next week.
might be cooked because of playoff Lenny Forns.
Okay. I don't know about that because the run game in Buffalo has always been super weird. It's like they had Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, and they pretty much had like a 50-50 split or a 60-40 split of the opportunities. And
They
this
don't.
year, what are they doing? Like they've got
They don't.
James Cook and Latavius Murray, right?
And,
They don't
and
trust.
Ty
So like
Yeah.
the
Johnson,
way that they
and then
play,
Reggie
like they divide the snaps
Gilliam.
up between those two is like they don't trust James Cook inside the 20s, only between the 20s, because they don't. I don't think they like him pass blocking at all. Like they just don't trust him.
He's
And
pretty
Latavius Murray,
young, so
he's the oldest running back in the league currently. And
no, no,
like
no. I'm not talking about Latavius Murray.
no, I'm just the
No,
way
yeah,
that like the
contrasting.
James Cook, Latavius Murray like works right now
Right,
before
right,
like
right. Okay, sure.
changes how it works is that like Latavius Murray is cooked. Like
He's
like
bad.
I don't know what's going on. He's the oldest dude in the
He's
league.
done.
Doesn't move the pile. It's not great. And they just don't trust James Cook pass blocking, I guess. Like yeah.
Well, they don't.
No, they need what they
don't-
need is a
they
goal
don't
line
need him
guy.
to pass block because they have Reggie Gilliam for pass blocking. They throw him out there.
And
Yeah,
No,
I
what
think that's right.
basically the Bills want a goal line guy and a between the 20s guy.
I'm surprised they didn't go for Derrick Henry before the trade deadline.
I bet you they did.
Yeah, I think there were offers
And they,
for him. They just didn't
and
like what they saw.
I think the Titans didn't bite on him and said there's no way, and so the Bills explored this other option with Fournette. And
Wait, Leonard
he-
Fournette's playing with.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
just
This
like
is
yesterday,
yeah,
today, something. I don't know. Recently, it
he
doesn't-
got signed to the Bills practice squad with
which
the intention to elevate him.
I think he's still got juice. I mean, the issue with the end of his career in Tampa was that he was overutilized. They used him so much that his body was breaking down. So
Right.
he's had a lot of rest at this point, and I still think he's got gas in the tank.
They might have signed Fournette to teach.
That too. It could've
James
been
That's
one of
true.
those.
What to
That's
do.
a good point. That's a good. I mean, that's a practice
Because
squad signing.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Is if you want to, because like I hate it
Sign
when
a coach.
teams
Yeah.
sign a veteran player that is obviously not going like this deal with Von Miller, right? He's playing on their team, but is he really playing on their team? I feel like he's just there to coach, and they're throwing him on the active roster.
They're burning the spot so that he
For
can
no
be
reason.
a player coach.
Yeah, you might as well just throw him on the practice squad. Like it doesn't look great in optics, but like that's where they should be at least.
I don't think Von Miller would clear waivers.
Von Miller has done jack shit this year.
I still don't think he would clear waivers. I think some other team would probably get him.
Like I said, just make him sign to a practice squad because I don't think Von Miller has the heart to play anymore.
You can't do a direct from roster to practice squad. You have to let him clear waivers first.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you could just drop him to practice squad like you can with every other player on your team.
No, it subjects them to waivers. If they go unclaimed, then they can put them
Then you
back
can
on.
sign them. You have to re-sign them to a new contract on the practice squad.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, Justin Herbert, like, over 30, good game. A.J. Brown, breaking records again.
Yeah. Boone Man didn't do much here for you, but
Calvin Ridley,
the rest
like,
of your team
I don't know,
supplied.
he's an odd one this year because I still think he's, like, got it. I just, like, I'm not sure, like, what's going on with Jacksonville, honestly.
Yeah, that whole team is like snake bitten right now. It's super weird.
They're wobbly. I don't know what's going on there. Like it's like they're having an identity crisis or something.
Trevor's hurt.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence has been banged up. That's definitely contributing.
That definitely does it.
Weirdness there.
I mean, it's
you
like
can watch him hobble on the field. Like every time he's throwing the ball, it's like he can't throw the ball
that's true.
Yeah.
The Doug Peterson scenario there seems to be going pretty well, all things considered. But
I mean,
what's
the
crazy?
team's going through a bit of a transition. You know,
What's crazy?
they're no longer the
is
fuck Urban Meyer team.
Witherspoon knew that Joe was playing me this week, so he just decided to take the game off and just like.
I think he got game stripped it out. I mean, watching that game, there was clearly a plan
They just
to
weren't
No, it
going
was
neutralize
to.
it was a reek week, dude. Go
It
look
was
at
a reek week. That's true. He got his first int.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's also that was playing in the slot, and if they're gonna like throw to one guy, like because they don't really have another guy to throw to outside of Amari, like.
Right.
Yeah, so it's
either
whoever
giving
I
is
got
covering
Elijah Moore.
Amari.
Elijah Moore is a gamer.
Ray Brown or
Yeah, but
But it was an Njoku
It's
game, and
his,
we
what,
saw
third year in
what
the
happened in Ben's game. Njoku had a really, really good week, and it was
They
just
put Jamal Adams on
vintage tight end against Seattle. Like, just got
They put
cooked.
Jamal Adams on tight ends when they can, because that's
Yeah,
actually,
he
like,
was shadowing him.
Yeah.
Jamal Adams was
Yeah.
shadowing him.
if it's just if you can get the mismatch, it's pretty easy.
hit it.
Like, Njoku's a good player. Like, if you can get a mismatch, he's gonna win.
Yeah, he's probably also getting a little more comfortable as his face heals from that pit fire shit. Because like that is definitely worth mentioning. That
Well,
is
it's gotta hurt.
Oh, that's
super
right, I forgot
distracting.
about that.
His whole face got fucked.
Yeah,
yeah,
it did.
completely
Yeah.
burnt.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. That fucking sucks. And I can't imagine trying to play pro football and dealing with a burnt face. It's like
No
you
thanks.
put your helmet on, it hurts. You
It'd be
smile,
fine
it hurts.
everywhere, but your fucking chin strap. Your chin strap would annoy the fuck out of you every week.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on how extensive the burns are. I
It
feel
was
like
bad.
If the
It's
helmet
his
pads,
whole face.
His whole
It's
face
his
was
whole
Yeah, I
burnt.
know,
face.
but like
Right.
your-
It's
those
not his whole.
pads,
It's like it's right here. So it actually is everywhere but his helmet. It's just the chin.
It's probably because his
That
helmet
way.
rubbed off all the skin there where it got burned.
yeah, no, it's
Or he was
probably-
wearing
I
his
mean,
helmet when he
yeesh.
fell into the fucking fire drunk as shit.
Yeah, honestly, that might be it because the like
It's
really
literally
perfect
burned. where
non-helmet
it was-
zone.
Yeah, like
like.
it would not surprise me at all
Oh,
if he was
man.
like playing football with somebody at his house, like fucking around with his helmet on, and he trips and falls into the fucking fire, and just like
That
in a
shit
drunken
happens, for
stupor.
sure. Yeah. Well, the hero of this game for me, at least, was Jameer Gibbs.
Of course.
Like, he just
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck Jameer
Like-
Gibbs. Dude. I used to like that kid.
watching him run all over the Raiders was a lot of fun. I know
Yeah, he went
He
crazy.
ran all over them. It was
yeah.
really disappointing as a Packers fan to watch because of how ineffective we were running the ball. But good job, Lions. You did it.
All he had to do is get like 2 less yards, and I'd be fine.
You wouldn't have to be
But-
worrying about the stat correction.
Yeah, we wouldn't be hero
monster.
for a stat correction. And then, like, the only other person, I mean, everybody else except for Witherspoon had a pretty good game. Like, even Roquan
Yeah.
Smith is slightly disappointing, but he still had 11 tackles. That's a good floor. And then Kyle Duggar did what he does against Miami, which is get an interception and a sack.
Yeah.
Like,
Kyle
always
Duggar's
play
kind
Kyle
of a
Duggar
monster.
against Miami.
The difference here, though, was Godwin's utilization finally went up a lot. He did
Yeah.
whiff on a Hail Mary that was like untouched. Baker threw
That was a weird
Hail Mary and no one even touched the ball. I don't think I can
the
remember that ever happening. It was so bizarre. But Godwin was in the area. He could have caught it, but he just didn't. He lost it in the lights or something. Yeah. I think that about does it for the matchups. So let's look at week 9 and see what we got on deck.
Look to the future.
So I'm playing Casey, and as I mentioned, he's kind of in a bad situation because of how many players he has on bye, because he has a lot of
I mean,
49ers.
Danny's matchup, Danny and Jordan's matchup. Like,
Danny and
That's
Jordan
easy.
is going to be a heater for sure. Why are they projected so
big.
low? Did they not put in bye guys yet? Or
I'm sure they don't.
I mean,
have
169
their
to
starters in.
161. That's not too abnormal. They look like they've got full rosters.
I feel like Jordan's projected like almost
The
180.
lowest projected this week is Kelsey.
I think
Like,
I think the
107.
buys
Uh,
are hitting.
no,
yeah,
Casey's
he
is
will
right
not
now.
change
But
much
yeah.
size. I mean, it seems pretty early for that.
No, Kelsey's is currently with 107.
Yeah. that's
Oh,
what I said.
107. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's way lower. That's
Yeah,
that's
He hasn't moved out.
Is
Trevor
Steve
Lawrence.
Kelsey
gonna
has not-
sneak out another win this week? Is
I
he
mean,
gonna do it?
there's a lot of big buy action going on here and a bunch of out players on Kelsey's roster. So
Can
It's
Kelsey
possible.
Hang on.
I
1,
mean,
2, 3,
maybe.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How does Kelsey just have a bunch of bench players right now? That like I'm confused on how she has so many extra bench spots than Steve. Steve,
No,
do you
no,
just not
no.
have?
I have a bunch of slots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I moved a bunch of players onto IR just now.
Yeah, Steve has to pick guys up off the wire. He'll probably be doing a little research to get guys. But yeah, he's got some bench space. Matt and Joe is going to be good. I feel like Matt's been really scrappy, and Joe's team always falls apart for no reason when he needs them to, and then does well when he is like desperate.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it.
So yeah, I'm gonna be watching that one, and then Josh and Trevor is also gonna be entertaining to track as well.
Yeah, who
Yeah,
knows if Josh
yeah.
Josh could do great, he could do bad, and that's about it.
It's
you
like a
know?
tale of
there's
two
no in
seasons. Like
between.
both of your teams are kind of on the same trajectory, where it's just like, are they gonna suck? Are they gonna be amazing? We'll find out on Monday.
I think actually, all right, this is my weird dark horse prediction, but I think Ben has a chance to take John here.
John needs to be put in his place. He's been running the table right now because he
I
started
think
0 and
I
3.
think I think Ben might be able to complete the Packers sweep a week late. The Packers
Yeah.
fans sweep a week late
That might
here
just,
and like
like,
could
put
put
this
something
opportunity to
together.
Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know if he wants to do that. He like, yeah, that's been rough, bud.
Yeah, I can see because Ben has some. I mean, he's looking good, close in the projection, and has two guys on bye that he can still sub in for some good players on his bench. So I think that he's gonna, at least based on the projections, which are dog shit generally.
Yeah.
I think Ben has some chances here, but I think just aside from projections, like actually looking at the players, Ben has a good chance to challenge John here.
Well, I think we had a really spooky week of football.
Yeah, defensive spookiness.
There was a lot of spookiness this week. It was Halloween. But yeah, I think we are good here. It's in the books.
Right.
But yeah, guys, as always, defense wins championships, and Steve sucks.
Fuck you all.
All right, later.
All right.
Have a good night.